In this section, we conclude by laying out how we can make better choices. No choice is optimal, but all choices of leaders have implications for our future. Sometimes these implications are immensely important. First, keeping leaders under control of the group is highly important, with group members having a range of escalating strategies to overcome the powerful on hand. These strategies can be seen in groups from small to large, although the larger the group, the more likely an individual leader has obtained extensive power. Next, we consider the 10 recommendations when it comes to our own lives and how we deal with power, both for ourselves and in giving it to others. These can be organized based upon how we view leadership psychologically and how we structure power relationships between individuals within a group. When one considers strategies to stop the powerful, one has to remember that overcoming the powerful is more time and energy intensive than making good choices in the first place. And perhaps more important, once someone has power and misuses it, the potential for damage is that much stronger. There are 5 escalating ways to deal with the powerful, with the first 3 the least dangerous because they rely on cheap signals by using language-based approaches. The latter 2 are more costly in their signaling and thus are potentially more dangerous for all involved and the group as a whole. The first line of defense when dealing with the powerful is by spreading negative rumors about them. This cheap signal is ineffective, and often the only difference between gossip and news is the intent to do harm to the target. Public discussions in which leaders meet with followers provides all parties a chance to offer opinions and facts to not cut off relevant speeches. To not be perceived as domineering, the leaders have to take these opinions into account by modifying their own position. This approach may be seen in town hall meetings by politicians and in general meetings and shareholder meetings held by business leaders. Finally, satire is a way to offer direct criticism of a leader and their decisions, albeit one tempered with humor. This is a major aspect of societies, especially the more egalitarian ones. The final 2 strategies to overcome the powerful are the most costly of signaling. Disobedience by ignoring leaders and deserting them is a start. However, this can also include more aggressive approaches such as desertion and deposing or ostracizing leaders. In the United States, the U.S. Constitution provides the ability to remove a chief executive through impeachment. However, this is for political, not criminal reasons. Likewise, the Bill of Rights, through the 25th Amendment, provides for removing the president through their having disability. Finally, the most dramatic of all approaches is through assassination. While this is rare, in the United States the founders arguably foresaw the need to forcibly remove those who have become too powerful by providing for the Second Amendment and the right to bear arms through well-regulated state and local militia. This may be seen as the ultimate, most drastic means to maintain a more egalitarian society. As can be expected, it is easier to choose leaders than it is to remove or even deal with those who have obtained extensive amounts of power. Mark Van Vugt and Anjana Ahuja provide 10 recommendations for applying the lessons of evolutionary leadership theory to our own lives. I have grouped them into psychological and structural categories to allow for better understanding. The psychological recommendations largely means being aware of yourself and others and their predispositions and likely choices, and sometimes means acting contrary to initial impulses. The first most important recommendation is to not overrate leadership. Leaders, while important for the success of an organization, are not the be-all, end-all. They do not control factors that are logically outside their control, as is the case in the United States, where we often find people attributing the success or failure of the economy to a president, often depending on whether they are part of their own political party or the opposition. A second suggestion addresses our inevitable emotional response of envy to people who have more but may have done less to deserve it. Here, paying fairly and expecting fair pay go hand in hand to a happier situation. Likewise, leaders who pay themselves disproportionate amounts of money will likely aim to benefit those closest to them as well. So, looking for and dealing with nepotism is highly important. The last two psychological suggestions are related. Looking past the surface means being aware of those that would provide cheap signals of their competence as leaders to benefit themselves. In other words, individuals with the dark triad of narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy attempt to fake their way into leadership positions for the sake of power and the benefits it provides. Being wary is most important, even of ourselves, especially as we all contain the seeds of these traits. The structural recommendations are ones that political scientists are mostly aware of. Successful organizations try to keep their structures small and with more natural interactions between individuals, keeping in mind the findings from the social brain hypothesis. They also favor followers by paying close attention to their needs and realizing that power comes from below, not from above. As a result, these organizations work to distribute leadership based upon situational demands and the resources provided by those in the organization. Finally, perhaps the most important recommendation, especially for those at the start of their careers, is to understand that as humans, we have the ability to create our own niches. Developing expertise in an area that one is passionate about often leads to excellence in that field. And, perhaps most important, a life full of challenges and contentment that results from doing the thing one loves most.